All right, we've got a lot of people online here, and it's about 1 minute after 12, so I'm going to get started. So, greetings. This is the Lunch with Darba webinar series, and today we're going to talk about Philpott Lake, and we have a special guest, Mary Lawson.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
Conservation biologist with Philpott Lake, so she's going to be here to answer your questions. And if you haven't been on Zoom before, you can do a lot of things on this. You can reduce your screen down. You can do a gallery view. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, and so you're going to be seeing a PowerPoint while we're talking, and you'll see us up there at the same time. If you look down, if you bring your cursor down to the bottom, there's a little box that'll pop up, and you'll see a place that says Chat and Q&A. You can use that to talk to us, and we're going to take some questions toward the end, but you can ask a question anytime. If I see it, I'll try to answer the question while we're in progress. We are going to be recording this today, so it will be available on the Darba website, our Darba YouTube channel, and we'll send a link out to participants where you can find it. But on our website, on the Darba website, there's a place for webinars, and that always has the links to our latest webinars. So once we get done today and it's recorded, we'll get it uploaded. So once again, welcome. I'm going to start sharing the screen here so we can take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. And sometimes this takes just a minute to pop up, so hopefully it's there. And today we are going to talk about Philpott Lake, one of the most beautiful places around here in my opinion. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and this is called Spotlight on Philpott Lake. So I wanted one of the experts of Philpott Lake here, Mary, with us, and so she is here with us. But first I want to tell you a little bit about Dan River Basin Association and what we do. So our mission is preserving and promoting the natural and cultural resources of the basin, and we do that through recreation, education, and stewardship. We are a nonprofit member-based organization. We'd love to have you as a member. If you're not already a member, come out, join us on our first Saturday outings. We have a lot of recreation activities, and we know if we get you out there on the river loving it, I can teach you a little bit about it. Our staff can, our volunteers, our board members will be glad to teach you anything they can. That's our big thing, is education, especially with the kids. And then stewardship. We know if you get out there and enjoy the river and love it, we know you're going to want to take care of it. So that's what we do at Dan River Basin Association, and we appreciate all our volunteers and everybody that works with us all the way across the basin. We are a 3,300 square mile basin from Patrick County in Virginia and Stokes in North Carolina all the way over to Halifax and Caswell. And actually the Dan River runs, so I think it's seven times in and out, stitches our two great states together, Virginia and North Carolina, runs all the way over into Lake Carr eventually, which dumps into Albemarle Sound back in North Carolina. So basically our basin starts in the Blue Ridge of Virginia and then runs all the way into the ocean in North Carolina. So we'd love to have you here. So here's Mary again.
Hello, glad to be here.
And what are you?
I'm the conservation biologist at Philpott Lake.
And how long have you been there?
I've been there for 17 years. 17
years. All right, fantastic. So that's why I think Mary's been there longer than a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Is anybody there longer than you?
Ernie.
Ernie, so just Ernie Shepherd. So I've been working with Mary a long time. We also paddle together and have a great time getting out there in the woods and convincing our bosses that we really need to be on the river to be doing our job. So we're fortunate to have Mary here today. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about the lake, and we're going to kind of bounce back and forth here, talking about the lake and what's going on with the reservoir.
Okay. Well, Philpott Lake obviously was created by Philpott Dam, and it covers about 2,880 acres, and it's about 100 miles of shoreline, and it encompasses the 3 counties of Franklin, Henry, and Patrick. There's about 100 miles of shoreline, and it's about 12 miles long along the river from the dam to the upper reaches of the lake.
So this 2880, that increased, I understand.
Yes, at the full capacity of the lake, it increased by about 1,000 acres.
Wow. So just a few weeks ago, when we had a full, what we call a full pond, we increased the surface area about another 1,000 acres. Pretty impressive.
That's right. In the summertime, the elevation that you're used to seeing when you look at the lake is about 973.5 feet above mean sea level. The spillway is at the elevation of 985, which we actually reached for the first time in history this past Friday, May 21st. We are a part of the South Atlantic Division as far as the Corps of Engineers structure goes, and we are in the Wilmington District.
Okay, so Philpott Lake really is the Smith River. That's where, you know, it's a dammed up river, and that's what Philpott Lake is. And it starts up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's beautiful up there. There's not a lot of access up there, but it is a fantastic place. Woolwine, Patrick County, all through there. It's really a unknown country up there. It's just gorgeous paddling. And it's up there, if you go up to Lover's Leap and look off Lover's Leap down into the valley, that is the Smith River Valley. And all those little perennial streams and annuals come down and form the north and the south fork of the Smith River, which eventually runs into Philpott Lake. So we want to give you a little bit of history of the lake, about why the dam was built and what it was constructed for. And I want to take a moment to thank a lot of folks that provided photos for this. The Philpott Lake web Facebook page, we grabbed a lot of photos from them, and also Iris Gillespie, who has some beautiful, outstanding photos that you'll see in here as well. So the Smith River Valley, before the dam was built, was basically a farming community, and it was a Southern Virginia Piedmont river, so more of a warm water river. It did come out of the mountains, so there was, you know, some cold water species like trout up in the mountains, brook trout and things like that, but basically it was a warm water river with a lot of, you know, bass and catfish and brim and things like that, and a big farming community there in Philpott. So why do we dam the river, Mary?
Well, after heavy rain events like we've been experiencing recently, in the past, before the dam was built, that caused extensive flooding in the town of Bassett. Many industries and homes went underwater, as you can see from the photo. So Philpott Dam was authorized primarily for flood control.
You can see here an old picture of Bassett in flood, and then here's a recent picture just from about a week ago at the Great Road. So even though we did have that major flooding event on the Smith, we didn't have it nearly as bad as what it could have been. We did have some issues in Bassett. You probably saw on the news some buildings that had some issues, and there was some evacuations, but nothing like they used to have back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. So the other use.
Yeah. So secondary to flood control was also hydropower. So the dam does actually generate power and puts it out on the grid, and it can power about 1,600 homes.
Great. So this is what I understand is a smaller project within the Corps of Engineers projects.
Yes,
in the Wilmington
it is.
District.
As far as output of hydropower, it's not a huge amount, but the advantage is being hydropower, it has the ability to kind of quickly turn off and on.
Right. So it's basically a big lump of coal sitting behind the dam, and we can turn it on when we need it, right?
That's right. It's good for peak power, like in the mornings and evenings.
Right. So that's why you don't see a lot of generation on the weekends times. It's usually during the week when people are at work, and that's what they use Philpott mostly for, is to add that extra little bit of power on the grid.
Exactly. So the Flood Control Act of 1944 is what actually authorized construction of the dam. And it began in 1948, construction did, and it was completed in 1953 with the powerhouse fully functional.
Yeah, I think they filled it up. They started, I can't remember when they started filling it up, but I know by 53 it was supposed to be completely full by then. So here's just a few pictures of the construction of the dam if you've never seen them before. Basically what they did was they started with bridges and cofferdams to redirect the river, and then they poured an awful lot of cement.
Yes, this is a good picture of the different monoliths or sections of the dam as it was being constructed.
Yeah, they would build it in sections and then finally tie it all together. And I think later is toward the end is when they put the penstock in. And what does the penstock do, Mary?
So this is about a 9-foot diameter pipe, and that's where the water runs from the lake down to the turbines, which spins the turbines, which sends magnets and copper coil moving past each other to actually generate the power.
Neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat place. You used to be able to tour these dams, but after 9/11, that kind of all stopped. So if you ever get a chance to tour a dam, please do. I'm not sure if they still do that out west in some of those big dams, but it's fascinating. Yeah. So by the 1960s, the lake was filled up, and basically recreation began. You know, when you put a trail or a boardwalk or a lake somewhere, people are going to use it for recreation.
That's right. People love the water. So in the 60s, that's when a lot of the recreation areas were actually constructed and operational.
And this looks like an old picture of the overlook right
It
there. But
is.
it actually had a platform on top, or a little building there at one time, huh?
Yes. I think the one we have now was built in the 80s sometime.
So recreation has always been a huge activity at the lake. This was the old marina, right? Or was that Bassett Yacht Club?
I can't quite tell if that's the Twin Ridge or Bassett Yacht Club, but
so you'd had a marina that actually burned down at one time. So we have a new
right.
marina now. We're gonna talk about that. Give you a little tour of the whole lake. Sorry, that's a little interruption there. There's always a little interruption on these webinars. So there is fantastic recreation on the lake, canoeing, kayaking, motorboating, skiing. Did they allow jet skis?
They do.
Okay. And you'll see a lot of pontoon boats out there. When you got a big body of water like that, and Philpott is a big body of water, like we said, 100 miles of shoreline, and up in all those coves, it is a fantastic place for recreation. And one of the unique things that I think is really neat about Philpott, Mary, is there's no houses.
That is one advantage to being a federally owned lake. It does kind of prevent all the development that you see in some other places.
So how far back, like if you don't have a park, so we have a lot of acreage in parks and trails and accesses, but if you don't have that, how far back does the Corps of Engineer land actually extend?
It was actually purchased by tracts, so it's not really like an elevation like at some lakes. Some lakes purchased to an elevation for the flood storage, but here it was just kind of the old tracts. So it varies widely.
So you might have 100 feet or 500 feet or a mile, right?
Right.
Back from the water's edge.
Yeah, it varies a lot. Some you see the survey markers right on the water's edge, basically.
So like up where the Smith River comes in around White Falls, the extent of the federal property runs up to White Falls, right?
That's right. That's right. About the upper reach.
Yeah. So there's a lot of neat stuff on the lake happening all the time. Now, of course, with COVID and all the stuff that's going on now, we don't know what's going to happen. But in the past, Philpott has attracted millions of visitors a year, and it brings in a lot of money for these three counties. And there is a lot of neat events that people do up there. This was a concert by Canoe that I think Franklin County put on up at the Twin Ridge Marina. They did this several times. It was awesome. There's been all kinds of other events there, from weddings at the Overlook to events at the Visitor Center. We've held safety expos there.
That's right. Environmental education expos.
Environmental education expos.
One of our falconers there.
Yeah.
Shared his birds with us.
It's a great venue up there. There's picnic shelters and areas right up there at the Visitor Center. It's a really neat place to visit. And then you've got that beautiful overlook. Huge thing with Philpott is safety. And the Corps of Engineers, I know, is. And you want to talk about your water program a little bit there?
Absolutely. Anytime you have a lot of people flocking towards water, we want to stress water safety. You know, wearing your life jacket. Most people who drown never intended to be in the water. So even if you're doing shoreside types of recreation where you're going to be by the water or on a boat, we advise our visitors to wear their life jacket.
Yeah, and you guys have done a great job of information in water safety up there. You've had very minimal accidents and deaths on Philpott Lake, which is outstanding record for a lake of that size.
That's correct.
So who runs the lake? Well, I think one of these do. I'm not sure which one, Bob or the water safety dog, or this is our operations manager, Chris Powell, who graciously let Mary come down to the office to do this webinar for us. They've been real busy up there lately with all this flooding. So Chris was originally going to do this, but his time's kind of being sucked up by everything else right now. So fortunately, we were able to get Mary. We also have a huge staff up there, right? A lot of these people are gone. There's Rocky, the old operations manager, and Mary's still there.
That's right. At least 4 of those are gone.
Yeah. So it's how many staff do you have all the time up there now?
It's about 5 year-round rangers, and then we have 3 seasonals that come back on April to October.
And then each access area is controlled by volunteers or campground managers, or how does that work?
The campgrounds actually have contracted gate attendants that guard the gate, check in reservations, that type of thing. We do have a lot of volunteers that do a lot of work for us. but mainly park beautification, trail building, and things like that.
So full-time staff is,
Right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 permanent rangers,
right.
and then the manager and assistant manager
Right.
and an office administrator.
So that can vary depending on how much.
Whoever retires or leaves. Yeah.
And I love this photograph here because Philpott is a corporate partner with us, and they've been a great partner for us. We have a handshake agreement with the Corps of Engineers, one of the few in the country, and which allows us to work together and build projects together and utilize funding that the Corps may not be able to get themselves and can go through DARPA. And they've just been a great partner for us. A lot of times environmental organizations don't really work well with the Corps of Engineers, but a long time ago we set out to be friends with the Corps and not battle them on water issues, or, you know, they have to manage water. And these reservoirs are hugely important for hydropower and recreation and downstream flood management, as we're seeing right now, evidence of that. And I'm on a weekly water managers conference call with the Corps of Engineers, and the dance that they have to do to manage that hydropower and the flood control is unbelievable. People think it's simple. It is not simple, I can assure you. So a long time ago, we realized that we really wanted to be partners with you guys, you know, as far as protecting the environment, building the trails, having the recreation. We all do the same thing. We all want to do the same thing. So we partnered with them early on, and we really appreciated that partnership. There is some neat stuff at Philpott. Just about everywhere you go around Philpott, it is in the Blue Ridge Mountains and is surrounded by a lot of land and not houses. You're going to see a lot of wildlife there. Everything from bears to coons to eagles, to osprey, owls, everything that you can see from the water is, we used to have a lot of eagles up there in the wintertime. Now we're getting more and more on the Smith River, but y'all have a lot of nesting eagles around the lake.
We have at least one nesting pair that we know of.
That you know of. So there's probably more up there too. And eagles and ospreys both love lakes, and they love to fight over the fish. But the lakes like this definitely attract a lot of wildlife, and it's just a great place for it. It also attracts other things like Nature's Corps of Engineers, the beaver. And do you guys ever have any problems with beavers?
We do. We get some flooding from some of their work that can kind of cause some problems. It hasn't been too bad.
So they're just a competition for you, basically.
That's right.
And to me, Philpott is a lake for all seasons. It's absolutely gorgeous any time of the year. Fall is my favorite time. I don't think I've missed a fall not going up to the overlook and taking pictures of the Blue Ridge Mountains and the changing, because there's predominantly a lot of hardwoods up there, which gives us all the leaves, and they're mixed in with the evergreens too. It just makes for a beautiful thing. And even in the wintertime, I think, I'm not sure who took that picture. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful picture up there in the wintertime. Springtime up there at the overlook is great when the green starts coming out. Summertime is a beautiful time there. It really is a treasure that we have here. And if you have not been there, it's amazing how many people that I've talked to that maybe have been to the lake one time, they maybe have been to the boat, maybe they've been to the overlook one time. When people come into the town and visit, this is one of the places I send them. I'm like, if you haven't been to Philpott Lake, just go up there and stand and look at that overlook, and you'll appreciate it. And fishing is fantastic, fundamental here. I've heard that before, but Philpott is great for fishing. The Fish and Game began stocking Philpott. Of course, down below Philpott, we have a great trout fishery, and that was created by the cold water that's coming from. So the dam is what, 280 feet, something like that?
220 feet.
220, and the Penstocks are around 80 feet.
You're probably better, familiar
So
with that.
what happens is that cold water that never sees sunlight is basically coming out around 80 feet and creating the environment we have on the Smith River, which is 45-degree water coming out at the bottom, which creates the habitat for trout. But above that, in the lake, is a fantastic habitat for largemouth, smallmouth, walleye, catfish, brim, you name it. And Philpott is famous for their walleye fishing. You guys have some amazingly big walleye out there, and some big catfish too. Yeah, that kid didn't get swallowed by the catfish. He's just comparing himself with it. So there's blue cats and flatheads up there, and a lot of smallmouth as well. Some people have trouble fishing on that lake, but there's also a lot of carp up there too. But once you learn the lake, it is fantastic fishing. You can always catch something up there. There's beautiful wildflowers, beautiful scenery around there, all kinds of plants and trees and ferns, and you can see this all through the trails and the parks. My recommendation is you start at the visitor center, and you guys have a little museum up there.
We do. Yeah.
It's a fantastic museum. It's got a little bit of everything from a scale replica of the dam and the lake and how that works, and then the wildlife that's around the visitor center. It's great. It's just right up there at the dam. I wish my thing would move out of the way there. Maybe that'll work. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, it's a beautiful visitor center. It's a great place. A lot of friendly staff up there. I'm not sure what are y'all doing right now with COVID? Are you just completely closed?
Right now, the visitor center is closed to the public.
Right.
We're hoping right now ramp 1 has gotten opened up again, and Twin Ridge, of course, is open.
Okay, ramp 1's the marina.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so
So
the
we were
marina,
able to get that open.
Twin Ridge, and Ryan's.
Branch.
Oh,
right
great.
now.
Ryan's Branch, good. So
Yep.
you got upper end of the lake, a middle, and down by the dam. That's
Yes.
great. So as we progress in the whole COVID and whatever happens there, we hope you guys can get the visitor center back open, because it's a fantastic resource. It's a beautiful place. That's where your office is, right?
That is, yeah.
So
And
just
that
go
would
in and
probably
ask for Mary.
there you go.
Around the
Yep,
lake.
come see me.
There's a lot of neat places to get information on Philpott, brochures, websites, and even book. Nancy Bale here that used to work with us wrote a wonderful book about Philpott Lake and the stories. So keep looking over here, checking my time, because I don't want to keep you guys past. I always run past on these things because there's so much information. So we're going to kind of give you a little bit of overview of the lake and the recreation areas that are around the lake. Now on the left is an old topo map of the lake. That was one of the first maps, I think, done of the lake all the fishermen used, that showed you all the different places before there was a whole lot of recreation areas around there. Now, most of these recreation areas, were they built with Conservation Corps or just Corps of Engineers? Or?
I don't think it was Conservation Corps.
Right. So mostly just Corps of Engineers projects that said, hey, this is a great place for a campground or a access or whatever.
To my knowledge.
And I think we have 9 locations primarily.
If counting the tail race, 11, both sides of the tail race.
Right. Okay. So 11 official Corps of Engineers access places below the dam and then all around the dam. And this includes campgrounds, trails, and boating access. And we're going to run swimming beaches. That's right. We're going to run through a bunch of those here. So it is in the foothills of the Blue Ridge, and it's the river carved out through those hills, a deep channel through there. So Philpott Lake, as Mary says, is about 220 feet at the dam, and I'm not sure what it averages, but it's a rather deep overall lake. And you can see from the topography over here in the left-hand corner of this topo map is the Blue Ridge Mountains up here in Killer Valley and Lover's Leap in that area over there, and that's what you're looking at when you see the backdrop and you see the lake here. And once again, as we said, in a straight line across here, it's about 12 and a half miles from basically where the Smith River is starting to back up all the way to the dam. And there's a lot of neat trails around the lake too. And we have Super Trail Builder right here. This is this is the one that really has been behind all those trail building projects. And it's how we met, actually. Yeah. We met on a trail project back in 2008 or something like that, maybe 2009, I can't remember, at Jameson Mill.
Yeah.
So the trails are neat, and they're done through a variety of, tell us about how you guys do this.
So our first big push was probably around 05. It was a partnership with Franklin County Parks and Rec and you guys and local bike clubs, and so many partners kind of came together to create about a 5-mile trail one-way that connected Philpott Dam tail race on the Franklin County side to Salthouse Branch Park.
Right.
After that trail, which gets a lot of equestrian users and hikers, and it's open for bicyclists as well. After that big push, then we kind of went to Jameson Mill to create a system of loops, kind of stacked loops. Some that were narrow single track that catered to the mountain bicycling community, and then others that were a little bit wider. And about 6¼ miles of trail out there. So then we've also connected Salthouse Branch Park to Twin Ridge Park with a 2.5 mile trail that just recently got opened. And then just various trails around the Philpott Park. Mostly our morning walkers. There's a Philpott Fit Trail that has exercise equipment as well as interpretive stops. So that's kind of a unique resource that we have too.
And then, of course, you have campgrounds that people walk around in the campgrounds that may not have an official trail on it, but that's places that you can walk around. And every access that you go to has some small little trail through the woods, whether a fisherman cut it or something like that. But you guys have really been putting some trails down there. So when you think of Philpott Lake and you think of just the boating, there's a lot more than just boating. I mean, just about any park you go there, you can get in the woods too. You don't have to have a boat.
That's right. Get out and explore.
So there is once again, it's a beautiful area. There's maps everywhere. You can Google, you can pull it up on satellite, and get a really good idea of what's going on with Philpott with all these little finger channels that run up in here. Yeah, this is actually from a recent Google map, but it says Spring Cove Park, and this is Salthouse Branch and Deer Island here. And then Ferrystone Park, which dumps into Philpott Lake over here at Ferrystone Falls, which is also a neat place to view. So we're going to do a little quick tour through the different recreation areas. This is a recent map. We have a Philpott Blueway brochure. We created a Blueway in partnership with the Corps of Engineers, and at each exit, at 9 different locations, there is a sign, a 2 by 3 foot sign that tells you where you are and the different places that you can visit, whether it's paddling or motorboat, either one. It gives you 2 different trips in different lengths, like 1.5 hours to 2 hours, an out and back paddle or something like that. And we have a brochure that goes with this, and each of these items are located on the map, and you can see that there's a good variety here from the marina all the way up to Run It Bag up in the north, and it shows you the key points of interest of where you would paddle. So the Blueway has been great. We've been getting a lot of good comments about loving having the signs up there and having it, because it's not just enough to go to an access and throw your boat in and wonder where you're paddling. But I will give you a hint: if you do that and you don't have a map and you don't know where you're going, stick to one shore and follow that shore on the way back. So if you put in at an access point, just say, I'm going to go left and I'm going to stick to this shore, whether it's up in a cove or anything. If you always keep that shore on your left, you know you got to keep it on your right on your way out. So that way you can keep from getting lost. But with the advent of this Blueway, we hope we've created water trails that you can easily access and find out more about. So this is our first stop on the trail, and this is Philpott Marina. You want to tell us anything about the marina?
Sure. The marina is managed by Henry County Parks and Rec, and they have food, snacks, gasoline. They have slips that they've rented out for storage of boats, and the boat ramp, of course, where you can access. And I see your first point of interest is Philpott Dam, so that looks like a short paddle.
Yep.
Maybe you can tell them how long that is.
You get it's about a mile out and back, and all you got to do is go around the cove, and you can see a view of Philpott Dam. It's really neat. You can go up to the left and head up in these finger channels as well, or go out in the main part of the lake. But that's one of the points of interest on our Blueway map. And there is also a trail that runs from the marina over to the group campground.
Yes, there's actually trails that go from the right-hand side of the ramp and on the left from the upper parking lot. So they connect up back to the visitor center and then out to the group camp area.
Now, the recent flooding, you had to swim out to your boat, but now you've got it open and people are accessing boats and things there.
Ramp 1, the ramp is back open. The walkway may still have some water over it.
Yeah, that should, depending on what the rain happens, which hopefully that'll be going down soon. Our next stop around, if you're going around, and what we're basically doing is going heading west, and we're going to go around the outside of the lake and then head back east on the north side of the lake. So we're just going to give you kind of an overview of that from the Blueway. So the next stop is Bowens Creek, and it's a fantastic place. It's got a beach, right?
Yep, Bowens Creek is what we consider just a day use park. There's no overnight camping, but it does have the swim beach, and it has a boat ramp and a picnic area.
Neat.
And it also has one of the only fully universally accessible playgrounds.
Oh, that's right.
Well.
Yeah,
Cool.
So there's a playground there, and that was underwater too.
Yes, it was.
But
it's gonna be a lot of cleanup.
Yeah, it's not too far outside of the town of Bassett. Just heading up Ferrystone Park Highway there. There's a sign that takes you into Bowens Creek, and one of the neat places to paddle there is up here. Whoops, use my cursor. Number 2 there. That's Bowens Creek Falls. So when you come out from Bowens Creek and put in and go out around the peninsula there and just head upstream all the way to the back, you will come to this beautiful little waterfall. And depending on how much water is there in the season, it may be a little bit drier, but Usually it's one of those places that only the canoes can get right up to. So it's kind of a neat little place to paddle, and it is a nice swim beach as well. So if we cruise on around a little bit further to the west there, we'll come to a long road, which is 5 miles long off of Highway 57 to get down to Goose Point, right?
Yes.
And what all is at Goose Point? It is a beautiful drive down.
Yeah. Goose Point is a campground facility primarily. It also is open to day use when we are not overrun with the campground. There's a swim beach and a boat ramp and 63 campsites there, many of which have water and electric hookup. There is one loop that does not, maybe 10 sites or so in there without, where we get a lot of tent campers still. So yeah, it's a great place. It's one of the places that's most newly renovated on the lake. So a lot of people kind of a first class campground.
And these campgrounds fill up.
They do. They stay very packed, especially Loop C, which is at the bottom closest to the lake.
Right.
Beginning June 1st, you can start making reservations again for our overnight facilities. And we hope that by June 8th, we can open it back up.
Okay. So Goose Point is one of those that's just basically closed right now, right?
Yes, that's right.
And it's a shame, but hopefully we'll get that back online because it is a great facility. I'm out there a lot, and just even the drive down to there, like you said, even it's a 5-mile drive, but it's beautiful. And there's areas that you can stop and hike there on the Ferrystone Farm.
That's
wildlife
right. The game
management
department
areas.
has several trailheads.
Yeah, and hunting and stuff on the way down there too. Now, you guys have any hunting around the lake? Is there any available?
At pretty much everywhere. And there's a good map that we partnered with the game department to put out to show all of the areas that you could hunt, regardless of who managed the lands. But pretty much anywhere, as long as you're not within a recreation area, like a developed campground. But any of those areas, the woods in between is open to hunting.
Okay.
Several areas we have actual food plots and we manage it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I've seen those before. And also, how about duck hunters? They utilize the lake too, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Okay, great. And so if we come on around to the back side of the lake, and you can see right here, this is where the Smith River comes in. And this is White Falls, I believe, right? Yeah, this is White Falls, where we basically consider this the extent of the lake. I don't know what happened to my, there we go. So the Smith River comes in here, and there's a nice rapid at the end called White Falls, and then it kind of starts getting a little bit wider as it comes down here. And if you canoed on the upper section, you still got 4 miles worth of flat water paddle to get around to take out at Ryan's Branch, which is over here. So it's a long way. Unfortunately, it's not conducive to a lot of paddling up there, but we hope one day it will be. Mary and I enjoy it. We take out on some Corps of Engineers and some private land down there, so we don't have to go all the way around. But at Run It Bag, it's a long way to get up there to Johnny's Ridge Road. And I heard there was a slide on Johnny's Ridge Road.
Yeah, too. I heard that too. I'm not sure if that's been cleared yet.
I don't know if that's cleared yet, but I was just up at Run It Bag the other day. This photograph was from the other day. You can see how high the water is. And it's a great place to put a canoe in. You can put a regular motorboat in there, but this is one of the far extents of the lake, and it's really out there. I mean, it's really remote, and it's beautiful. This is one of my favorite places to go and paddle, because not too far, just a short half-mile paddle, follow the map, you'll end up at Calico Rocks, which is stunning. It's probably 100-foot plus tall cliffs, and it's just a gorgeous place to paddle to and view and hang out all day. So when we swing on around, we get to Ryan's Branch, and you can get to Run It Bag either way. You can go one way and not see Ryan's Branch, but the easiest way is to go past Ryan's Branch first and then go up to Johnny's Ridge Road. But Ryan's Branch is right there off the side of Union Bridge Road, and the unique paddling opportunity there is to go out and take a right and go under the bridge, and you'll see that blue rock. Now, from what I understand from some of our old Dan River atlases and Smith River atlases, that was supposedly where the location of Blue Falls was, which was the extent of bateau travel on the Smith River. There was some pretty good waterfall there, I guess, that's now underwater. But the unique feature is those blue rocks that you can see from Union Bridge too. So, and this one was underwater the other day.
It was just open last night. So it's just a boat ramp there, and then there's a picnic area that's
Yeah.
actually a separate part that you pull in.
So Twin Ridge, now that's a heck of a place. Tell us a little bit about Twin Ridge.
Twin Ridge is also what we kind of call a day use area only, no overnight facilities, but it does have the boat ramp, the picnic shelter you see there, which was almost completely underwater recently. And then we have this special event dock, which has been really neat because that's the site where they do the concerts by Canoe.
Yeah.
So Franklin County was a big partner in that.
And that's all the way on the other side of the lake. So we've moved from the southwestern side of the lake. Now we're kind of on the north side of the lake and heading back east. The other one up there is Horseshoe Point, which I didn't put on here as a photograph, but that's a day use area as well.
Horseshoe Point
too,
is
right?
a campground, actually. It has some water and electric hookups. It does have the swim beach and the boat ramp for day users as well.
All right. So good to know. I didn't even know there was any campground at Horseshoe Beach. That's neat. Yeah. I just don't utilize that much.
It's a good one.
So Jameson Mill is a great area. This is Jameson Mill Point. You actually you recognize that.
Oh, yeah.
So Jameson Mill, that's Franklin County, actually
It
manages that now, right?
Yes, they do. That's one of my favorite areas on the lake. And just off of that point, which is accessible by boat only for the public, is where the old Jameson Mill was actually located on Nicholas Creek. So that's one neat thing about
So it's underwater now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool, though. That point was where Johnny Carter lived, and then across Nicholas Creek on the other side, which is what you see on the other side of the lake, was Bob Carter's home site. And he was the last and longest miller that took care of the mill there. Very neat stories in that area.
So Jameson Mill Park is that's primarily day use, and
it has camping as well. Franklin County Parks and Rec has leased that area, and they manage that. And there's 5 sites that have water and electric, and then 7 sites across the creek up on the hill that are more primitive. And then they also have an overflow camping area, several sites.
Can you camp on Jameson Point?
You cannot.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Dang.
Yes, beautiful area, but technically not a designated camping
So
area.
it's a great place to paddle from, though. There's a beautiful little park down there. There's restrooms. There's restrooms at all of these facilities, I believe.
Yes.
So, and do y'all shut those down in the winter, or?
Those are actually just pit toilets.
Pit toilets. So yeah, they're not a problem. So it's a great place to paddle from. There is how many mountain bike trails?
It's about 6 1/4 miles of trails.
6 1/4 mile of trails at Jameson Mill.
And they're in loops, so you can start and stop right in the same park. I like that.
Right.
You have to go out and back.
This is one of the first places that we work together on trails, and it is really nice. We've done a lot of hiking out there, a lot of mountain biking out there. So it's a great
2 years
place.
and about 1,000 volunteer hours.
Wow, that's a lot. So the next little stop on our tour here is around the Salt House Branch. And Salt House Branch is a really neat place to be able to access a lot of stuff on the lake. So tell us a little bit about Salt House there, Mary.
Okay. Well, since we were on trails, Salt House Branch is where Dogwood Glen Trail, one of the trailheads for that trail that goes to the dam. And then on the other side of that park is another trail that goes to Twin Ridge. So if you go to Salt House, you have 2 options for trails.
Oh, excellent.
One, a 5-mile trail that goes to the dam, and one, a 2.5-mile trail that goes to Twin Ridge.
Cool.
If you're not there to hike, then there are 2 swim beaches, there's 2 boat ramps, and there's about 92 campsites, some of which have water and electric hookup.
Now, from here you can paddle out to Deer Island, right?
Yes. Matter of fact, the woods you see just across the waterway is Deer Island, which has 21 campsites.
And those are primitive sites.
Yes.
So
all waterfront.
Yeah, this group right here that's in this photograph, they're taking a day school or some kids, I can't remember what it was, out to Deer Island to camp for the weekend. So you can just a short paddle out to Deer Island, and you kind of got you're out on an island doing some primitive camping. And then out in front of Deer Island is Turkey Island, right?
That's right. That's just a picnic area.
Right. So you can pull up there. And then across here, that would be Goose Point, right?
That's right.
Right. So a nice little paddle is just come out here and go in between Turkey and Deer Island and make the canoe trip all the way around there, or with a motorboat if that's what you have. But it's a great little paddle too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of getting toward the end of this thing here, and I just want to say that we've looked at some history here about the dam, and we know a little bit about it. But the really neat thing, you guys, most of y'all know, I'm sure, was just a few weeks ago, we had a historic event with the water actually coming over the spillway of the dam. And they don't, and how long did it last?
It was It was about 3 a.m. on Friday, May 21st until about 6:30 p.m.
Now, what's happened is, since the elevation is normally around 973 feet, and the top of the spillway is at 985 something, so when it hit 985.1, it came over the spillway. Now, they normally don't like to see that over the spillway. I don't actually know why. But
well, it's an emergency release. You have no control. So
right.
If we were releasing water using
There
the
you go.
floodgates, we can raise or lower them or close them. When it comes over the spillway, we're at its mercy.
Right. But the spillway was doing what it was designed to do. A lot of people kind of got a little worried, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's coming over the dam. Well, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It was just a really neat thing to see. So I managed to get up there and take some photographs. I think Brian or somebody took this photograph on the right from the dam looking down, and then this is from the base of it looking up at it. And to me, it was a beautiful sight. I mean, it's just gorgeous to see that. I understand the Corps of Engineers want to control water. They understand that you got to make sure that things work downstream, because there is downstream communities. But for us, the mixing of that top surface water in with the river water, bringing a lot of nutrients down, is really actually a pretty good thing. So we just kind of need to see that. Now, this is the only time this has happened. A lot of people said it happened in 85, and a lot of people said it happened in 72, and 72 was Hurricane Agnes. And from what I understand, they saw water lapping over the dam from the winds blowing. So it was actually spilling over the spillway, but just being blown by the winds.
Right.
Actually, the elevation did not get up there. It was only 983 feet. So even though people thought it was coming over the dam, it was just from the winds blowing over the dam. This is recent scenes of the flooding at Philpott. You can see the marina here, and I'm not sure what these other pictures are. Different sites for the Salt House,
yep, and then Rolling Branch. Rolling Branch is one area that we will need to do a lot of repairs before we can open.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they really got inundated. Yeah. So you can see here the spillway with and without water. That's just like I said. That's what thing is designed to do. And another interesting thing you can see in here, this is the tail race, what we call the tail race, the generation water. The Penstocks basically dump their water out here.
That's right.
So what's going on here is the sluice gates are open.
Yes, there are 3 sluice gates located at the bottom of the spillway.
Right, and at this particular time, I think we were running around 6,000, so they had the sluice gates way open to dump water out of the lake. And the reason you guys dump water out of the lake is for control. You want to get that water out of the lake so you'll have extra room behind the dam to that flood pool, right?
That's right. So there's like 3 storage areas in there. The minimum where we can generate hydropower, and then the flood storage capacity is the uppermost. So when there's going to be a rain event, we need to be sure we've let enough water go that we have flood storage, and then we hold that water back and we can release it slowly so that Bassett doesn't experience flooding. But when you have extensive rain events, one back to back like that, it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah. And you're also looking at recreation too. You know, you guys don't want the beaches inundated, especially in the summertime, and you can't put your boat in. So the Corps of Engineers is constantly having to balance between recreation, downstream communities, flood controlled, hydropower. There's a lot of balls in the air right there. So it's a very impressive ballet of water control. Let me see if I can get this video to run here, and you can see it actually running over the dam, which it was just spectacular. It was really beautiful to me. I know it's not to the Corps of Engineers. They just like, but to us, it was an absolutely spectacular event. And I was so happy to get to be there and see it. And you can see what a maelstrom of water below this is. Do you know how deep it is there?
I don't know how deep, no.
Yeah, but there's a big deep pool where the water catches and builds up, and it just some incredible currents there. And so basically I'm going to try to wrap this up here and just let you guys know, because I think we're running out of time there. There is a lot of information out there, and once we get this video uploaded, I will have links in the description section of where you can find these. We have the Philpott Lake Blue Wave brochure online as PDF. I'll have links to Philpott's website and links to our interactive map. So you'll have plenty of resources to go and find out all you need to know. Of course, Google's your friend too. You can type in Philpott Lake, everything's going to come up, which is great. But we'll have those links in the comments section. And the Blue Wave's been great. Like I said, that's an easy thing. the visitor center, you guys have plenty of information too from,
Yes.
you got a map there? Is
We
that,
do. We have the Philpott Lake map as well as many other brochures.
so this brochure contains basically a map of the lake, right?
It does. It has a good map. It tells you what facilities are located
look
in
at that.
each park.
So we got a great map of the lake there. And this looks fairly new.
Yeah, we updated it not too long ago.
Oh, I recognize that. I took that photo.
Yeah, you were there. You got us the plants.
So that's pretty neat. That's a great brochure.
Yep.
So
Lot
can
of
they
good
get this?
information.
They get this at the information, the visitor center.
Yes, you can get that at the visitor center.
Or if you could get one online if they called you and asked.
If you
deliver
give
it
me
personally?
a mailing address, I'll mail it to you.
Okay, well, fantastic. So I appreciate everybody being online. We're kind of up on our time here. Now I'm going to see if there's any questions here. So I'm going to stop this screen sharing here. And we do have some chats. So we're going to answer some questions here. Let me see if I can find. Okay, we don't have any open questions, so let me look at the chats. All right, anybody's got any questions, please let us know right now before we tie off of here. Okay, that's the old chats.
Huh,
All right,
I'll
so if you got a question there, you can go down to the Q&A and type it in. It's at the bottom of your box. There's a chat box on there. I'm not sure if you guys can use that or not, but if you hold your cursor down there at the bottom, you'll see the little box that says Q&A, and you can actually type in a question. But if we don't have any questions, and if you actually have any questions, you think of something later, what?
Scroll up. Mm-hmm.
These are old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, all right, there we go. There's a question coming in. Here we go. All right. Any future recreational plans for Philpott?
Hello, Martha. I need to get a hold of you. Right now, we are going to open up for reservations beginning June 1st for the campgrounds, and on June 8th, we hope to open the campgrounds. Of course, that could be a moving target just depending on the circumstances. Right now, because of all the flooding recently, we've had to keep the parks closed, but we're slowly reopening them. So Twin Ridge is open for boat launch. Ramp 1 just today got open for boat launch. Ryan's Branch last night is open for launching your boats. Hopefully we can get Bowens Creek open soon. And then, like I say, the campgrounds beginning June 8th. However, Rollins Branch will not be open that soon. We've got a lot of repairs to make from flooding.
Okay, thanks. All right, we got another question from Kelly. Any specific areas on the lake you recommend for kayakers? Absolutely, man. Once you get Bowens Creek back open, I definitely recommend that for paddling up to Bowens Creek Falls. My favorite right now is Run It Bag, as long as Johnny's Ridge Road is open, because you can paddle up to Calico Rocks and you're kind of up in those fingers. Yeah, you can launch from Ryan's. I forgot. You can launch from Ryan's and go right around under the Union Bridge and paddle up. If you go to the left, you can paddle up toward the Smith River all the way to Everson Falls. Or if you go to the right, you can paddle up to Calico Rocks. And like I said, there's a sign there. So if you don't have the brochure, take your smartphone and take a picture of the sign and take it with you. Just make sure you protect it. Are dogs welcome at the lake?
Yes, dogs are welcome at the lake. Pets just have to be on a 6-foot leash and clean up after them. But yes, they are definitely welcome at the lake.
And if you take them out on a boat, we do recommend life jackets, even though dogs can swim, but they make great doggy life jackets.
They sure do.
So please do that. Okay, well, thank you for the questions. I want to go back to this first one, though. Any future recreational plans? I know you're talking about open up, but what about, I don't think there's going to be any more accesses or campgrounds or anything like that built, but I guess the future recreational plans would maybe include trails.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
stuff.
wasn't thinking of it from that angle. Right now, no, is kind of the short answer. I would love to see more trails in the future connecting each of those parks on that Franklin County side. So far, we have the dam to Salt House to Twin Ridge. And so we're kind of hoping that we can continue connecting each of the next parks. But it's a tough thing because you have to maintain what you build. So
yeah. Well, we appreciate it, and thank you very much to my lovely guest, Mary Lawson there. And I'm Brian Williams, and I appreciate you guys tuning in with us on another Lunch with Darba webinar. And like I said, once we get this video uploaded, it will be on our website. There'll be a link to it there, and we also have a Darba YouTube channel. So if you just type in Dan River Basin Association on YouTube, usually those will come up. But it takes us a couple of days to get those things uploaded, get it all squared away. So thank you again for joining us. If you have any questions, you can contact me through the Dan River Basin website. You can call the Visitor Center at the Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
And I'll have Mary's personal cell phone up here in just a minute.
I don't know about that.
But thank you for joining us, guys, and hope you can get out there and enjoy the beautiful resource that is Philpott Lake.
And be safe and wear your life jacket.
Be safe, wear your life jacket, and remember, if you're in Henry County, that's where your drinking water comes from, too. All right. Take care, guys.